these meetings, these kind of meetings are called satsang. And it will be very useful why it is called satsang, what exactly is a satsang, what you can get out of it, what are the kind of best practices of going or sitting in a satsang. And there are not really kind of standard or those kind of things, but there are some pointers which can help. Also, it is going to be useful to understand what exactly satsang is and why we sit here like this. Satsang is a I mean, satya is a truth, and sang is company, in the company of truth. This is what satsang means. Being in the company of truth, sitting in the company, in the truth, sitting in the truth, being in the truth. This is satsang. But if we don't really understand how it works, to be in a normal language, how it works, then we may come and still we will not be really coming to the satsang, and we may stay here, but we will not be really staying here. We may even talk and question and get some answers, but still we will not be really getting any answer out of it. I mean, satsang necessarily will have to include somebody who has already reached to the layer called truth, or who knows, who is living in the truth already. And satsang is a company. Being in the company of truth, it becomes that only when there is somebody who is living the truth. If there is no such person in the meeting, then it is not a satsang. And truth is not something that you can really question. Truth is not something that you can really work upon, modify, change, progress, grow. You cannot do anything about truth. But being in satsang means, being in the company of truth means that this desire has come in your heart that I want to know truth. I want to know the truth of life. I want to know the truth of myself. And truth simply means to know things as they are, whatever it might be. Either it is life, yourself. You want to know what you really are. So this is knowing truth of yourself. And knowing the truth of life is to know things as they are, to know the life how it is, without your projections, without your beliefs, ideas, judgments, expectations, without any filters. Filter of your need also. The biggest filter is your need. When you are in need of something, it creates a kind of blindness, and we don't see things as they are, but we see what we want to see. So staying in satsang is like, you will have to first of all ask yourself why you are here, what has brought you here. And if it is not the truth, search for truth that has brought you here, then you will not get really anything out of it. because here in the company of truth you can only know the truth, which might be useless for many people, which might not have any value for many people. And because this company, this meeting is for knowing the truth, which is already present, there is no possibility of doing anything about it. So the only thing that remains is doing something about yourself. And when you are sitting in the company of truth, a resonance happens. You also start naturally understanding. You also start naturally seeing the truth, because truth is not something hidden somewhere. It is always present and it is wide open. It is in the air that is flowing. It is in the sun that is shining. It is in this place, in the plants, in each one of us who are present here. So it's not something that is hidden. So the most important thing that can happen to you in the satsang is that without effort you start seeing the truth, because truth is there, you are there, and there is some kind of absence. You are absent for some reason, which is causing this blindness, we can say, or blockage. Your view, your eyes are blocked. Something is blocking your view, and that something is your absence. You are not here. You are not present. But when you come in a satsang, you already have this desire in your heart that I want to know the truth. So you are already prepared to be present as much as you can, and also the company of truth, the satsang, it helps. It empowers your desire, yourself, which is truth already. It makes it more visible into your body-mind system. It highlights the truth of yourself in front of you, and so naturally you start tasting yourself. So this is the fundamental of satsang, the resonance that happens naturally. But when you are sitting in satsang, it is very rare that you come very first day and you are 100% clear about truth. It mostly takes time because of our old habits, because of our involvement with the mind, because of the base belief that I am this body. So it takes time, and during these different sittings, when you continuously will keep coming to the satsang and sitting here, something will happen, not to the truth but to you, and that something will be, you will start waking up to the truth of yourself and to the truth of life. And during this process, during these sittings, many questions will come in your mind, because you are virtually, not really, but virtually you are moving from a person's, somebody's perspective, a person's perspective, to the center of the life, which is a very different perspective, which is a very different point of view. and you will be crossing many dimensions, and the outermost dimension being time and space, where we find ourselves normally when we start search for truth. So there will be many questions. You will go through different experiences, and you will experience a lot of resistance. Sorry, from your old pattern of life, old lifestyle of life, of your life. So lot of resistance will come, because we, at any level of our existence in this body-mind system, in the body, in the mind, in the heart, in the feelings, emotions, in the being, it is all energy. It is all energy, always. It's I mean, these are all different forms of energy, of the same energy, which is called consciousness or awareness sometimes. So these are different forms. Like we can say consciousness is the dust, is the sand, and then out of sand you create, you pull something out, and then that is, I mean, you shape it up in a certain way that it becomes more solid, but still in the form, without any particular form. Then it is a transformation of it. This is one of the shape, one of the form of sand. Then you make some building blocks, some brick or something out of sand. This is another form of the same sand. Then you create building out of these building blocks. It is the same sand, the building is sand, but it gives a totally different perspective. It gives a totally different point of view, and gives a sense of something totally different than the sand itself. So these different forms of same consciousness will create some resistance and will create conflicts during this journey from yourself to yourself, and you will have to cross all these resistances, which are like two parts of yourself fighting with each other. One who decided that I want to know the truth of life and rest the old patterns of mind, of body, of everything. Even body gives resistance if you are going out of the normal habit of it. And it doesn't care whether you are doing exercise, too much exercise, or you are doing something else. If you are breaking any habit, there is a resistance that comes out of body also. Same happens in the mind. And mind is mainly, in normal mind, is mainly collection of beliefs, collection of memories and things like that. So you will have to go through all these resistances, but again the satsang, being in the company of truth, will help you here, because it is in favor of yourself, not your true self, not in favor of your false self or your apparent self. So the resistance that comes from your apparent self, or because of the apparent self, is in a way against truth in this kind of process or in this context, and this satsang will help you against it. It will empower you to cross through all these resistances, because when these resistances come, they carry certain belief, And belief is a state of hypnotized state. It's a hypnotized state. You are hypnotized. You have hypnotized yourself. It's a self-hypnosis. Every belief is a self-hypnosis. That's how this Maya, this illusion works actually, the hypnosis. And hypnosis is such a state where you won't believe it until you are out of it. Howsoever hard anybody tries, you won't believe it. And we are creating this self-hypnosis every day ourselves. So you will have to go through all these things, and satsang can help you. But there would be times when it will be very, very difficult for you to fight with these resistances, and you will find yourself either helpless or totally in control of this kind of resistance, mind and tendencies like that. And you will feel like running away. You will feel like doing things which you would normally not like to do. So in that time also this satsang will help. The only condition is you have to keep coming. You have to keep coming here and sitting. Only sitting will help. And you have to be open. You have to understand what are the possibilities of transformation, or of understanding, or of coming to yourself by sitting in the satsang. So keep coming in the satsang, howsoever hard you find yourself to be. I mean, howsoever hard it is for you. I mean, because of the conflicts within yourself. Because you are always truth, and you are always in truth. It is not that you have ever left this place, this home called truth. You have always been here. But because your focus is outside of yourself, and because you are very interested in this outside, in this so-called outside, and you are totally interested and involved in this outside, or have been involved, and now you are finding yourself stuck. Now you are finding yourself stuck in this place, and you don't know how to go back home. But the truth remains truth. You have never left home. Never. And why I am saying this, it will help you. It will give you a more clear picture of what is happening to you, what has happened to you, and what is going to happen to you now, when you feel like I am back, I am home, I am back home. So don't think it is a physical journey. Don't think it is any other kind of journey. It is the journey of your focus only. And there is a technical name for this focus: attention. Your attention. Attention is a power of experiencing that you have naturally. Anything that you want to experience outside of yourself, this power is used. It is called attention. But because of continuous use of this power, and because of your too much interest in the experience that you have been having continuously through this power, some kind of hypnosis has happened, which is giving an impression that you are outside of yourself. Because this power of attention gives you experience, and all these experiences if you are not totally aware, if you are not totally present, they give you an impression that this experience is happening to somebody. I mean, actually, it will not be correct to say like this. There is a base belief that we carry when we start our life. The belief that that I am separate. This is the base belief that from where we start actually. It's a pure belief. I mean, it is almost unpolluted belief right now, uncontaminated. I mean, like pure in the sense that nothing else has come onto it, has not attached to it yet. Like you are a baby and you are pure consciousness, free from everything. Free in the sense that nothing sticks onto you. You experience everything, but nothing sticks to you, onto you. And then because of the way of life, because the way life is, at some point of time you get this idea that you are this body, because everybody, your family and friends and all the surroundings, they give you a name, and they keep referring you by that name, and also they keep indicating towards the body, towards your body, that you are Vikram. Vikram, come here. Vikram, do this. Vikram, what are you doing? Vikram, you are not supposed to do this. So here right now, when nothing has happened, there are three things. One is the pure consciousness, which you are, and a body which you have to experience life and enjoying everything. And then this Vikram name, only name, this Vikram name is attached to this body. Everybody is actually literally, they are forcing this name onto this body, that this is Vikram. I mean, right now it is name of this body is Vikram, but for them, in their eyes, you cannot see that it is just the body they are referring to. They are saying you are Vikram, whatever you are, totally. They don't know what you are actually. They think the body and something inside which we don't know and we don't want to know also. And now they start referring you, they start calling you by this name. Just try to feel what I am saying. It's very, very, very important. And then this open space called consciousness. Unknowingly gets this idea from outside, gets this impression from outside. You know, it's an impression. It's a kind of feeling that if I have to say it without words, it will be like, something like, okay, I am, like this. There are no words here right now. In this feeling, there are no words here. It's just like a little bit like, like this. It's a kind of grip that is created now in the openness of life, in the openness of this consciousness which you are. Just a little grip that is created here. And then when this grip is created, this grip is felt as something, and naturally when continuously people from outside keep referring you as this name, and whenever they refer to you, call you by name, by your name, they are looking at your body. and behind your body, in your consciousness, now you have this grip. So it all becomes one package: your name, your body, and this grip. And slowly it becomes so solidified, it becomes so concrete, that you, the consciousness, becomes hypnotized. It becomes hypnotized in the same way we were talking about, no? Like I don't know, identification, the exercise of identification you mentioned. Now it has identified itself with this small grip and the body and the name. Now the consciousness has identified itself with this small feeling of holding inside, which is in the consciousness. This feeling is in the consciousness, or consciousness is identified with this feeling, let's say. And then the body and the name. This is the foundation of so-called I, so-called person or something. Everything else is comes afterward. Then it comes like Vikram is very naughty. Vikram is very generous. He can share all his toys with other children. Again, more impression coming in. But because this hold is a glue, now things start sticking onto it. Vikram is very generous, and now it has entered in this system. And now, even if Vikram doesn't feel like being generous, sometime he is forced to be generous from inside. From inside, his mind is saying that you are generous. You have to behave in that way. So now I'm talking technically. Everything is technical right now. So we are not really referring to anything which is which resembles to anything in real life right now. I'm trying to tell you how internally things work. So now we are forcing the consciousness, which is like space, to move in a certain way. First of all, through this body, only confined to this body, and assuming that only this is the body, and then now more filters, more conditions. Then now this body is this, behaves like this, has to behave like this, has to do this, has to care about this person, has to, all these have to's. This is what we call our life. This is what we call ourself. Sorry. our what I call our false self. And sitting in satsang will give you a clear-cut, clear experience, impression, and recognition of yourself. And it will be felt as something scary in the beginning. I mean, because of the joy you experience, the first experience or recognition is felt very, very nice. But when you start recognizing yourself clearly, who you are, which is you are consciousness, space like consciousness, then naturally you start feeling imprisoned in this hold, in this person, in this body, and in this name, and you feel like throwing everything out. You want to break the prison now.